Hey everyone, I'm back this week with a Ganyu lore chapter. This chapter we're going to do the usual, talk about our lore. We're also going to cover lots of the names of the places that she mentions in the Yue, and a lot of the meaning is lost there because it's using a romanization and not the actual characters. So we're going to talk a lot about those places, and they're really well named and they're really pretty. So let's get started. Our favorite Coco does have a few other fun names. There's a meme that goes around in the Chinese community where she is called Wang Xiaomei. Wang Xiaomei is like Jane Smith or some generic character name, and this appears in one of the storylines where you have the option of, oh, do you remember Ganyu? And in the Mandarin one says you can literally pick one that says, oh yeah, you are Wang Xiaomei. And this meme went on further when they were introducing Ganyu and had the VA, who is also Jean's VA in the CN voices. And they're like introducing themselves, and the whole team was like, yes, and this is also Wang Xiaomei instead of her real name. So I thought that was kind of funny. So the title, Plenilune Gaze, is to stare at the moon. However, the Mandarin title is 循循守月. I think the moon is here mostly because it's the same character in the 月. 月 is 月亮, that's moon. So 循循守月 means to follow along rules to guard 礼乐. So Plenilune Gaze doesn't fit along with the title of her character, which is to follow the rules that, Zhongli has set and to protect the Yue. Her allegiance, Yue Hai Ting. Yue Hai is the moon sea, literally, if you take it apart. It's moon and sea, and then make it one word. So, right, you can't really tell that it's a beautiful moon sea pavilion if you just say Yue Hai without knowing Mandarin. The constellation Sine Unicornus is, I guess, like Chinese unicorn is the way they're trying to do the whole Latin thing into, or Latin name from Mandarin. But the Mandarin one has Xianlin. This Xian is the same Xian as Adepti, and Lin is the second part of Qilin, which is she, if you did the story, is half of. So Qilin is actually a combined term for the mythical creature of a Qilin. Qi is the male part of it, and Lin is the female part. So Qi is one, and Lin is another. In modern lexicon, we say Qilin, but they're actually two separate creatures. So she is specifically Lin, so the female part.
Copy that. Here is a draft service agreement for your review and consideration. Effective immediately if all is in order. Ah, wait a sec. I forgot to sign it. Ganyu. There. Right. Now, what was it you needed me to do for you exactly?
我明白了，外派工作的契约已经拟好了，请过目，即日起就可以为你。啊，名字没有签吗？请让我看一下。哦，名字是甘雨。啊，补上了。话说回来，工作具体是指哪些呢？
There's a lot of differences in this line, so I'm going to take it apart slowly. The first part is copy that. We don't use copy that in Mandarin at all. If we were using it, we would use it as a loan word. We would say copy. She says 我明白了, which is I understand. The second part she talks about is here is the agreement I've already drafted up. Please look over it. And in the English one, she's just kind of like, here's a service agreement for your review and consideration. There's no please. 请过目 is something that is very polite form of please look over this, or I'm presenting this to you. Please pass your eyes over it is literally what that says. So I feel like this line puts her already on a different direction in terms of how players should see her versus like, or players how players would see her in the English and the Chinese versions.
It's so nice to de-stress.
安逸的氛围，喜欢。
I think this is like an implied translation because she doesn't say it's nice to de-stress. The translation here should be calm atmosphere. I like it, or I like this calm atmosphere. specifically, she says 安逸的氛围. 安逸 is comfortable, calming, and 氛围 is atmosphere. And then she has a pause, and then she says 喜欢 means like I like this.
Oh, good. I was just thinking that the silk flowers at the Feiyun Commerce Guild needed watering. The transport coordinators will probably moan about the muddy mountain roads again, though.
飞云商会种植的霓裳花需要充足的雨露。嗯，合计交通的伙计们却不喜欢雨后泥泞的山路。
We're going to hit this again when we talk about Xingqiu. I just want to say that, or help bring up the translation that 飞云 means flying cloud. Um, and I think it's just really hard for a lot of people to see the literary art that goes into writing these little bits that really build more on the world without, understanding Mandarin. So I'm really hoping you guys enjoy these little tidbits.
It is something of a luxury, but I love listening to the rain from the courtyard.
在庭院里听雨的感觉很好，但是太奢侈了。
I think this one they just flipped to the dictionary, took the first dictionary definition out of here. 奢侈 is like luxurious, but it has a negative connotation when you are using it towards someone. Like you could say 你这样子很奢侈, it means you're being extra wasteful with like things. So in this case, Ganyu's saying she's feeling like she's being wasteful because it's such a luxury that it's just like over the top.
I've named every single doggy living in Liyue. But they're so funny. Some of them still respond even when you call them the completely wrong name. How fascinating is that? Like if people were to call me Bantu, how am I supposed to know they're talking to me? No way would I respond.
生活在璃月的每一只小狗，我都给它们取了名字。不过，有的狗狗如果用别的名字叫它，也会有反应，真是了不起呢。如果有谁突然叫我苦雪什么的，我一定回应不上来。
I love the fact that she names all the little dogos. Anyways, Ganyu's name in Mandarin, if you just take it literally, means sweet rain. And the other name that she comes up with that gets translated as like Bantu is actually 苦雪. 苦雪, if you do the same literal translation with that name, is bitter snow. So it's somewhat of like a pun or like a balance thing that they're trying to do, a literary play here for like Ganyu's name being sweet rain, and then if you called me bitter snow, which is kind of like the opposite of sweet rain, then she wouldn't respond.
I cannot stand her disrespectful attitude towards Rex Lapis. But he says to me, Ganyu, this is just the kind of person Liyue needs in this day and age. I guess I'm not smart enough because I simply do not understand what he means by that. I think I need more life experience to become wise enough to comprehend his words.
我无法认同他对帝君的态度，但是，甘雨，这才是璃月现今需要的人。帝君反而这样说，我还是太愚钝了。要理解帝君话语中的意思，还得更努力的接触更多事物才行吧。
I'm pretty sure I'm always going to be annoyed by the translation of Yan Wang Dijun to Rex Lapis. It's just it's a title that got changed to a Latin-based name, and I feel like it would have been better if they just kept it as Yan Wang Dijun, but I guess people also wouldn't be able to really piece together the meaning of Yan Wang Dijun, which is, if you look at Rex Lapis, like king of, Geo. And that's just a really difficult choice that the translators have to make. And I guess for me, why I do a lot of these videos is I'm hoping that people do take an interest in Mandarin and do want to try to learn some of that. The voice direction here is also things to like leaves me wishing for more because the Mandarin one, the pacing of the line that she recites is slightly different, as if she's trying to mimic Zhongli, but the English one doesn't do that.
She came to me recently to discuss the reopening of the Bishui trade route. She even asked me what Rex Lapis would do if it were him. Admittedly, what we came up with was not quite on par with what he would have chosen. But seeing the way she kept starting her plan from scratch over and over again, I think I started to understand her a little bit.
最近，他主动与我讨论起了修复碧水商路的方案，还问我是帝君的话会怎么做。我们商量出来的举措固然不比帝君，不过看到他反复推演着沙盘的样子，隐约能够理解他的心情了。
Just wanted to point out here that 碧水 trade route here, 碧水 is jade water.
He seems like a bit of an outsider socially. Probably just his personality. I can understand that, to be honest, but I'm not really about to try and get close to him. I mean, all the people he's ever agreed to team up with are no longer with us.
他一直与人间保持距离，应该说是性格使然吧。我能够理解他，但是我无法接近他。毕竟，与他履行同一份契约的同伴都已经不在了。
Oh, so the one with Xiao, they really like missed a lot of the specific quotation marks they use in the Mandarin one. She specifically says, I cannot get close to him, but close is in brackets, so I think she's talking about a specific type of close because she's also not human and very much closer to what Xiao is than what a human would be, I guess is what they're trying to get at. And also, the Mandarin part where she says 与他履行同一份契约的伙伴, they talk about a contract here. Remember, Xiao has a contract that he signed, and everyone else who signed that contract is also no longer there. So it's not that all the people that he ever agreed to team up with, it's the people who signed the contract with him are no longer here.
Let's see. I want to understand Ganyu better. What sort of request is that? I've never done this before. Um, um, um. Okay, I can, run you through my annual review from last year? That should bring you up to speed on me. No good? Oh, okay then.
想要了解更多干预的事情，这是什么工作要求啊？我还从来没有处理过这样的。去年年底述职报告的背诵可以吗？啊，不行啊。
So in this part, she specifically says 背诵. 背诵 means to recite from memory. So Ganyu actually just knows her annual reviews from memory, which is amazing, and also she definitely works too hard.
Drink only spring water, eat only whole grains. That's my motto. So I would be grateful if you could please remove that treacherously enticing looking plate of delicacies from my field of view. Much obliged.
隐蔽甘露，石壁嘉禾，这是我的守则。所以，请把那盘仙跳墙从我的视线范围里拿开。
So the lines here that she recites is actually like a little poem thing that the official mihoyo people wrote for her when they announced her. 隐蔽甘露，石壁嘉禾，循循如意，不离罗网. And they kind of get it right, except that ganlu is like dew water, like drink only like the sweet dew water. And it's not like whole grains. Like jaha is like mostly just like rice. And the latter two, 循循如意 means to, if you remember earlier, 循循守月. 循循 is the same 循循. And it's to follow customs and rituals. And then 不离罗网 is that so that you don't fall into traps, or you're not afraid to fall into traps. Also in this line, the Mandarin one, Ganyu is not tempted at all. There's no mention of any temptation or anything. She simply says, please remove that plate of Adeptus's temptation out of my line of sight. And the funny thing is, the Adeptus Temptation, Xin Tiao Chang, is actually a play on an actual dish in Chinese food called Fo Tiao Chang. Fo Tiao Chang is the Buddha jumps over the wall. You may have seen it in some menus. It actually originated in Fuzhou back in the Qingcao time period, and it was supposed to be so good. That's why, like, the Buddha would want to jump over the wall and eat it.
Power? Now there's a key performance indicator I haven't needed in a long time.
力量真是久违了。
She doesn't say key performance indicators. Like 真是久违了 is like it's been a long time.
I remember reading in an ancient text that only when days be darker than the darkest night may a Qilin be compelled to fight. That's a massive exaggeration, but should the time come for battle, and should you need me, then I will give it every ounce of my strength.
我曾经看到古书上说，灵斗则日无光，其实没有那么夸张。但是，如果需要战斗，如果需要为你而战，我会献出自己的全部力量。
I am going to disagree with the interpretation of the old ancient text translation. 临斗则日无光 says, when the Lin fights, then there will be no light. And her follow up is, it's really not that exaggerated. So she's saying, yes, if I fight, the ancient text says that if Qilin fight, then it will block out the sun. But it's really not that ridiculous. So the English part of like only when the day's darker be the darkest night, I just don't see that being a proper interpretation. So I just wanted to point out a couple of the Mandarin names that were pinyin and bring out the meaning behind them. So Yujing Terrace is like the Jade Capital Terrace. Qixing, if you watch some of my older videos, that's the 7 stars. So we can expect a couple more of them to start popping up. And then we already talked about Yue Haiting as well. Again, that's the Moon Sea. This is the first time of like me reading the English name of the Qingxian Dianli. They call it the Rite of Dissension. I guess that kind of makes sense. But when you do a ritual that is Qingxian, you are asking the Xian, so like an equivalent of like what they translate as the Adepti, to welcome them. You're asking them to come to you. And then Dianyi is the ritual. But I feel like dissension kind of feels weird because they're not like coming down in like a negative form. It's they're being asked to partake in this mortal realm very nicely with offerings from mortals, that kind of deal. So I don't know if I like that translation of Rite of Dissension. And that is it for this week's lore chapter with Ganyu. Make sure you like, subscribe, and come back next week where we talk about her combat move sets and all the other fun things. Thanks.